Today is a performing songwriter from the Philadelphia area whose specialty is love songs. He's written songs for weddings and also has custom songs that he has made up for people. He has organized songwriting support groups and has started a new group recently. Another current project that our guest is involved with is called Keeping Music Alive, which is a mission to promote music as an important aspect of people's lives. He's writing a book called 88 Plus Ways Music Can Change Your Life, which will be comprised of people's stories on how music has enriched their lives. Vincent James.
Hey, Ray.
Hey, Vincent.
How are you?
Thanks for being part of the show.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for asking me. This is great.
I wanted to ask you, talk a little bit about how long you've been writing songs and performing.
Oh, wow, Ray. Let's go back. I've probably been writing songs for about 30 years or so. Shudder to say it's been that long. And I really only started performing probably in the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually managing bands and artists before that, working in studios, and then finally decided, let me give this a shot and go out and perform some of my own songs. And I've been doing it, ever since.
Okay. We're going to hear a song. So you're up.
Oh, I'm up.
You're up.
This is called Someday. When I think back to all the times I saw you, I wondered if you knew I was there. Started to spend some time together. Oh, how happy I was. Then I prayed and hoped and wished that it would last forever and a day. Someday my heart will find a way. Someday together we will stay. The road is long and the journey much too far. My heart will wait forever. Someday now I'm sad to say that you and I are no longer, and it cuts me like a knife deep inside. I wondered if somehow we'd work it out. Oh, how happy I would be. Now I'm here to say that I'm not giving up on you and me. Someday my heart will find a way. Someday together we will stay. The road is long and the journey much too far. My heart will wait forever. Your eyes, your lips, your laugh, your smile, everything about you. I don't know how much longer that I can live without you. My heart will wait forever. Someday our hearts will find a way. Someday together we will stay. The road is long and this journey much too far. My heart will wait forever. Someday
I remember that song. Yeah, I like that song a lot.
Thanks, Ray.
Yeah, how long ago did you write that?
I want to go back and say maybe about 12 years ago.
Uh-huh.
It was actually written as a custom song
Oh, was
for
it?
a young lady in New Jersey, and she was kind of going back and forth with this relationship she had. She wasn't sure where it was going.
Right.
But I kept trying to pull out, well, what's the story? And I kept getting, I'm not really sure. I'm like, I think I get the idea, and so someday is what I came up with.
Okay. Yeah, that's very nice. We talk about songwriting, and both yourself, in terms of yourself through your songwriting groups and maybe other ways, as well as our Skype guest today, Eve Goldberg, help people learn about songwriting. So what I'm asking each of you is, think if you could mention 3 things that you think are really important for a songwriter and why.
I said that the number one thing, the first thing to think about is, who is the song for? Meaning, are you writing this for yourself to perform as a writer, as a performer, or are you writing this with the idea that another performer may eventually perform it? Because if you're writing for yourself, you can take a lot more artistic license, be a little more creative. You can break some or all the songwriting rules. Right. You know, no one's got to approve for you to sing it. You know, you can come totally your artistic vision. But if you're looking at maybe someone else to sing it, you may need to stay a little closer within some of the standard rules just to have a better chance of having them pick it up. Another thing that comes to mind pretty quickly is for lyrics, sometimes less is more. A lot of times you see, you know, people, beginning songwriters, they're writing it like so many verses, so many syllables in a line. I mean, you need to let the song breathe. And you got to have space, and sometimes less. You know, cut out the little preposition words and extra phrases, and you know, let the song breathe. And I think the result is much better. And lastly, is have a memorable hook. Have a hook that people can remember, whatever it is. You know, it can be an instrumental hook, right? Can be a lyrical hook, a melody hook. If you can have all 3 together, even better. But you got to have something that people are going to walk away tapping their foot or singing in their head, you know, about that song. They may not remember the exact name of the song, but they've got something stuck in there. Right. And then they want to hear it again.
Maybe you could mention a little bit about your new songwriting group.
Well, the new songwriting group is actually an old songwriting group. Back about 15 or so years ago, I had a group called the Philadelphia Songwriters Association. We met each month at different local recording studios. We would typically have a guest speaker come from the industry, a publisher or producer or successful performer come and talk about some of their experiences. We would do song critiques. And then I kind of got busy with everything I was doing, and I handed the reins off to someone else, and that group kind of got folded into another group and over the history of it. And I'm kind of starting it again loosely, informal, once a month meeting at a local venue once a month, instead of studios trying to pick a different studio and find a place every month. You know, kind of stick with one place so I don't have to worry about, and try to have some guest speakers come in and just, you know, good networking and learning for all of us, you know, myself included.
Yeah, I got to get there. It's going to be in the Bryn Mawr area?
Bryn Mawr area, yes.
Okay. Okay, I have a song here.
All right.
This is a new song.
I wasn't that brave.
This is called The Texting Generation. Her thumbs are dancing on her phone. Her eyes cannot be seen. Looking up abbreviations, looking down at the screen. In the morning and the evening, or in the afternoon. Texting to her best friend who's just across the room. They're the texting generation, sharing information in a restaurant, on a bus, or any place. It's a brand new vocation, but some need to take vacation. Find someone to talk to face to face. He's speeding down the highway, crossing a busy street. He's dodging all the danger, but he does not miss a beat. And his job is so intensive, but there's always time to text. And when the lights go down, even when he's having sex. They're the texting generation, sharing information in a restaurant or bus, or any place. It's a brand new vocation, but some need to take vacation. Try to find somebody to talk to face. You can see I'm still learning this song. Well, you don't need a landline, you don't need to sit and write. You can even send a telegram. And if you forget what your friends look like, just text, please send an Instagram. 'Cause they're the texting generation, sharing information in a restaurant or a bus or any place. It's a brand new vocation, but some need to take vacation. Find someone to talk to face. Now I'm just a-wondering, am I just some old grouch complaining about young people while I lay here on my couch? But I just have one question, why do you seem so obsessed? So I'll get out my flip-top phone and send you a damn text.
Nice. Nice.
Anyway, gotta learn that a little better, but...
Oh, Ray, I need to send you a text and I think a song there. Let's see, Ray.
Okay.
Very appropriate. Way too much texting going on.
Yeah, well, you know, my wife said, young people are going to be upset with that song, and they thought later, well, they can write a song about grouchy old men.
There you go.
Okay, we're going to have our Skype guest now.
Alrighty.
And Eve Goldberg is our guest, and she's from Toronto.
Oh, wow. That's
so
great.
We'll be back after that. My Skype guest today is from Toronto and has performed her trademark mixture of folk, blues, country, bluegrass, old time, and jazz in venues ranging from small house concerts to the prestigious Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. Her watercolor voice and solid guitar style have become favorites at festivals, folk clubs, and concert series across Canada and the U.S. Of my guest, Peggy Seeger has said, "I love Eve's singing, and I'm hard to please." Welcome, Eve. How you doing?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. Yeah, nice to see. This is a great endeavor that you're engaged in.
Well, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I'm going to ask you to just kind of tell us how long you've been songwriting and performing, and you're also in a group now, so I'm going to ask you to talk about that.
Yeah. Well, I guess I've been writing songs. I kind of came late to writing songs because I've been singing most of my life. Only started performing in my late 20s. So I don't know, it's been like maybe about 20 years that I've been performing, and that's maybe about when I started writing songs, but I've been playing music for a long time before that. So I feel like I sort of got a bit of a late start to songwriting. And my performing, in the beginning I had other full-time things that I did, and performing was just sort of something that I did for fun. And gradually it became more and more a part of my life, and eventually it was sort of like my part-time job, and then it sort of grew organically until now it's performing. Music is what I do full-time. It's not all performing, but that is how I make my living now, so yeah.
Okay. And you also teach in a number of areas. I have your guitar, ukulele, songwriting, singing, and performing.
That's right.
And you do private lessons, I guess, up there in Toronto as well as on Skype, right?
Yeah, I do have some Skype students, and I often teach at camps and festivals and things like that.
Okay. So since you do teach songwriting, I wanted to ask you, what are like 3 things that you think are very important for a songwriter, and why?
Yeah, that was a hard question for me to answer, actually. I had to think about it for a little bit, like, what are 3 important things? Because I feel like part of the job of any songwriter is to figure out, like, what is the technique that's going to work for you. Like, the technique that works for me, or techniques, well, usually people use different approaches, is not necessarily going to be the one that works for you. And part of the journey, I guess, of a songwriter is trying to figure out what helps you create and what helps you create the best song that you can, And for some people, that's going to be, I've been to lots of songwriting workshops and classes taught by other people, and sometimes people are very, have very strict rules about, you have to get up every day and write 3 pages or whatever their method is, or you have to do it this way or you have to do it that way. And I guess I've come to the conclusion that I've learned something from all of those, and I think they're all like valid approaches, but every person's going to have their own doorway into songwriting and their own way of coming at it and the things that work for them. And so I feel like part of the journey or whatever is figuring out what are the things that work for you. So for me, one of the big things is understanding the role of play and experimentation and improvisation and allowing that to happen quite a lot. Like creating a space where you can just fool around and see, like, do I like the sound of that, or oh, that's interesting, a whole bunch of words that rhyme or whatever, how could I like string them together in a silly way, or just different things like that are like maybe not going to actually lead to a song, but are kind of like help you just kind of open up to like different ideas and free associate and that kind of thing. So that's a really important part for me. But for me, I can't, usually there's a point where I've got a lot of content, I can generate a lot of content that way, but to make it into a song that sort of like works in a continuous way, I have to work on the craft aspect. So that's a whole, and so for me, I have to separate those two things. If I bring the craft in too soon, it kind of shuts down this creative process, because the craft part of it is concerned with like, is that a proper rhyme or a fake rhyme? Mm-hmm. Or are there too many syllables in that line? Or, is the form consistent, or that kind of thing? So for me, it was really important to start thinking about the separation between those two processes. And I don't know, that's kind of a heady sort of answer. A second thing is, and this is kind of, I'm also like thinking about this analytically, but it kind of happens naturally, I think, when you're working on a song. But different songs serve different purposes, and understanding what the purpose of the song is can kind of help you make it as effective as possible. So some songs are just fun, and they do something that makes you feel good, and they don't have a lot of meaning or deep layers or whatever, and that's fine. We need those kinds of songs. So you're gonna treat that in a different way from a song that you feel like the purpose is to shift the audience's viewpoint on something, or to have some emotional, emotional thing that happens in the song where people feel something. So to me, that was pretty important to figure out too. Not every song is going to be that like meaningful song that changes the world and, rips your heart out of your chest and plops it on the table in front of the audience. They're just not all like that for me. And that's fine, So, yeah. So those were two things that came to me right away. And the last one is actually like a really funny one that I feel like I think I pay a lot of attention to, which is the way the words feel to sing and the way the words trip off the tongue. And so which has to do with the way the melody and the words go together. And I find that's really important for me. And if it's not quite the right word, from not necessarily, like it might say what I wanted to say, but it might not feel right to sing. Uh-huh. That's a really weird, abstract, kind of thing, but I feel like I've started to pay more and more attention to that. And like a songwriter who's fantastic at that is John Prine, I think. has this way of writing songs that just, he has a way of putting words together that just like trip off the tongue and fall out. And they just, as soon as you hear them, that was the absolutely natural thing. It just sounds completely conversational. And Paul Simon is another one who I think pays a lot of attention to like sort of the conversational aspect of his songs. So I've started paying more attention to that when I write, how the songs feel like when they come out.
Okay. Eve, how about doing one of your songs for us?
Okay, I'd love to. This is a song called "We've Been in the Storm So Long," and it's kind of based on an African American spiritual called "I've Been in the Storm So Long," and I sort of played around with it, wrote some new verses, rewrote the melody, gave it a different groove, and so it's a different song now.
So you used a lot of analogy in that song.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, and that's an example of a song where part of it was about when I got it going. Part of it was about the groove,
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It repeats a lot. It doesn't. I don't feel like it has. It's not sort of like I'm not telling a story about my own personal
Right.
life that I'm. But it. I think it says something that's kind of. There's like a universal sort of everyone. We've all been in a storm, of some kind, right?
Sure.
And we're all trying to get along. We're all trying to make our way in the world. So, yeah, I feel like it's. I often like simplicity. Like there's something
exactly.
to me about like simple doesn't have to mean meaningless,
Right.
So a lot of times I'm after something that's simple but really meaningful. So.
Well, I think it helps people to understand what you're trying to
Yeah.
say, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I want to read, we're going to talk a little bit about a performing topic. I came across an author, Gerald Klickstein. He has both a blog as well as a book called The Musician's Way, which is pretty cool, and a lot of it's about performing and all the things consider. And I want to read something he said here. He said, "It appears to me, having taught and performed for more than 30 years, that vast numbers of aspiring musicians are not learning essential skills, and as a consequence, they're being crippled by performance anxiety." So anyway, I want to talk a little about today about stress and performance anxiety, you know, and I'm sure at some point in your career, maybe earlier or maybe today, I don't know, but and I think it's an issue for everyone, even if it's just a little butterfly. So I wanted to ask you how you have coped with that.
That's an ongoing thing, I think, and it comes in different ways. So sometimes it's getting really nervous ahead of time, you know, about something that's coming up, a performance that's coming up. And sometimes it's something that happens that I don't feel it ahead of time, but in the moment when it's happening, it's all of a sudden, for some reason, I feel uncomfortable or nervous, and sometimes it's not even a feeling of nervousness. It's more like, for me, like a lack of focus. Like I feel like I'm having trouble staying focused on what I'm doing. I have this running commentary in my head of like, you know, the person that's sitting over there and what they're doing and what does that person think, and I just missed that chord or whatever, you know, things that happen to everybody. But for me, I think there's a few things. One is just the more you do it, I feel like the more I've done, the more I perform, the more comfortable I've gotten with performing. And it's one thing to sit in your living room and play a song for yourself or for your friends or whatever. But as soon as you get into a performance environment, and performance environments can be different, there's different sort of levels, everything from your living room up to, a big high stage with lights and big sound system and everything. But in each case, there's sort of elements introduced that are different from just singing the song to yourself. So some of what I think, like performance anxiety, partly is like dealing with the things that come up that don't happen when you're sitting in your living room playing the song to yourself. So it's, things like, if there's lights, you can't see the audience. Sometimes you can't see the audience because there's lights shining on you. So it's very hard to feel a connection with people. Or if you're on a stage and you're above, also that might feel like it's hard to feel a connection. I think there's those kinds of things, the more that you can kind of have the experience of doing them, the more, comfortable you get with those things. And still sometimes I find something like that will like throw me off a little bit, or and some of it is just learning to be forgiving of yourself, that instead of spending your energy thinking about like the things that you're doing wrong, or like sort of trying to relate to like the joy of being in the moment and making the music and being with people and sharing it, and the reason that you're doing that, which for me is very much about communication and sharing rather than kind of like being perfect and showing how good I am, For some people, I think there's the thing of kind of like, what do you say in between? And you have to fiddle with your guitar or your instrument and like get your capo out or some water or whatever. Like anything that you can do to make yourself feel comfortable. Things where I've actually practiced the entire performance because I really want the patter in between as well to be practiced. Right. And that's the hardest part for me actually, because I'm very much in the moment, and I like to sort of let myself say whatever comes out of my mouth, So it's hard for me to practice that. That's actually a very challenging thing for me to do, but it helps a lot, and it can really improve your feeling of comfort on stage when you know what you're going to say and you kind of worked out the story or whatever a little bit.
Do your second song.
Second song. I think I'm gonna sing you a song. This is called "The Sound of Wings," and this is one that I haven't released on a recording yet. But I had a grant from the Ontario Arts Council to write songs for a project that I was doing, which was related to songbirds. And so this is one of those songs. It's called "The Sound of Wings."
Beat of a heart, skin on skin, breath entering and leaving, hush of expectation, the silence between, an empty page, fans that blow, migration. Sound of wings, the sound of the soul flying at night through dreams, falling rain, slant of light, far off conversation, the push promises fulfilled, haunting wind, waves that break, disappointment, the sound of love, the sound of the end of the day, the sound of the soul flying at night through dreams, boats leaving shore, the mysteries of tide, miracles, the other side of midnight. Beat of a heart, skin on skin, breath entering and leaving, the sound of the world turning, the sound of wings, the sound of the world turning, the sound of sound of wings.
Pretty song.
Thank you.
I want to ask you, what are some ways that people can learn more about you, where they can see you perform, buy your music, that type of thing?
Yeah, well, I have a website, which is evegoldberg.com, and I'm also singing with a trio called Gathering Sparks, and we have a website, which is gatheringsparks.com, and most of my performing right now is actually with the trio. I'm not doing as much solo performing right now, but we're having a great time, and so people can check out both of those links, and there's information about concerts and teaching and everything, so.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, Eve Goldberg, thank you very much for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
And looking forward for you coming down to Pennsylvania sometime in the future.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so.
Okay, take it easy. Okay, so I want to thank Eve for being with us from Canada.
Yeah, that was great. That was great.
Okay, so another song.
Another song. Oh, wow. So we're almost upon Thanksgiving here, and I think this would be a good one. Kind of goes back. This one's kind of old too.
Okay.
It's like the oldie hour for me. This is Reach Out Your Hands Across America. There's a friend who says he needs you in a very special way. He might just be a neighbor. For years you've seen him every day. That was then and this is now. He needs your help some way, somehow. Open up your hearts to them. Give them all you can. Reach out your hands across America to show them that you care. 'Cause you can make a difference. Let them know that you'll be there. Reach out your hands across America to show them that you care. You can make a difference. Let them know. Let them know that you'll be there. Let the children be a part of you. They share a different point of view. The world is just a puzzle that you and I hold pieces to. Let them learn and let them grow. They'll show you things you've never known. Give them all the love you can. They need it every day. Reach out your hands across America to show them that you care. 'Cause you can make a difference. Let them know that you'll be there. Reach out your hands across America to show them that you care. 'Cause you can make a difference. Let them know. Let them know that you'll be there. Reach out your hands across America to show them that you care. 'Cause you can make a difference. Let them know that you'll be there. Reach out your hands across America to show them that you care. 'Cause you can make a difference. Let them know. Let them know that you'll be there. You'll be there.
Now, you had a CD, right, with that title? Was that a compilation?
We did a compilation CD way back in the Philadelphia Songwriting Associating days with a studio that I used to work with, actually here in Fallcroft.
Oh, really?
Gold Key Studios way back, and he since has moved to Florida area ways back. And we did a compilation CD, and this was one of the songs that we did, and we had kind of the We Are the World type of thing, where we had a different artist singing a different line in the verse, and then a whole chorus, 15, 20 people doing the chorus together. It was really neat.
You know, I was thinking, before we get to the performing discussion, you have this new project that you've been working on. Maybe you could talk about that a little bit.
Sure. My wife and I have started something we're calling Keep Music Alive, and the purpose is to spread the awareness of how important music is, in all of our lives, the educational value, the therapeutic value, or just making us overall happier people. And as part of it, we're, as you mentioned earlier, we're putting together a book, 88 Plus Ways Music Can Change Your Life. And we're soliciting, we're looking for stories from all over the world over, from musicians, music teachers, or just music fans, how music changed their life, how, maybe there was a pivotal point in their life where music helped get them through a particular song, a particular artist, a situation. And we're looking to, hear as many things as we can and to share it with the world, just trying to we see music kind of going in not a great direction, you know, between music sales moving to streaming and artists and songwriters not necessarily being compensated as well as they should be. And then also the fact that there's less places to play live music, and many schools are cutting their music programs. So it's kind of like a triple whammy going on there. And we just, to me, it was like a deer in the headlights. I need to like do something.
Right. There was a movie on John Denver's life, like a a drama, and at the end, and I guess this was true. Who knows with movies, you know? But it was a good story. That his wife, of course, he had passed. You know, was in the plane accident,
Right.
and his wife was a therapist, and she's talking to one of her, you know, a young woman,
Right.
and the young woman says, "Oh, weren't you married to John Denver?" So as a good therapist, she said, "Well, we're not talking about me. We're talking about you."
Right.
And the woman said, "Well, I am talking about me. I was thinking of suicide. I when I was a teenager, went to my bedroom, planning to kill myself.
Right.
I turned the radio on. It was one of your husband's songs,
Right.
and it made me not do it. It was something that she heard in the song. So
Wow.
yeah. So whether it's true or not, it's a great story.
Well, I'm gonna look into it and see.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. Check it out.
That's it. Very interesting. But that's exactly the type of thing we're talking about. You know, one of many types of ways that music, you know, will get people either in a sudden instant like that, or you know, or a prolonged period of time where it really helped them.
Performing. I want to read a quote. Now, when I was talking to Eve during the performance discussion, I talked about a guy that I came across on the internet. His name is Gerald Klinkstein, and he has a book as well as a blog called The Musician's Way. And it talks about performing, different skills in performing, things you have to think about. And part of what he talked about was stress that you might have when you get on stage,
Right.
which is kind of what we're going to talk about, but I'm going to read this quote from him. And while I'm doing that, on the screen will be a picture of his front cover of his book, in case anybody might be interested.
Great.
Okay, so he said, performance skills come into play before, during, and after a show. They encompass the ways in which we learn music in the practice room, center ourselves backstage and on stage, present ourselves to the public, deal with stress, handle errors, and so forth. So,
That says it all.
have you had at some point in singing or even now, do you still find yourself getting a little stressed out, getting nervous before you go on?
Yeah, I don't think it's stressed out, but nervous, absolutely. You know.
And how do you approach that?
Well, I think up until the point where I sit down and I'm about to play, I'm nervous as heck. And then I just find a switch somewhere to turn it off and just say, shut it out. Because if it's creeping in while you're playing, if you're not in the zone while you're playing, you know, really focusing 100% on what you're doing, if you're allowing anything from the environment or for your fears to creep in, you're obviously increasing the chances that the lyric or the melody of your hand's going to go out the door.
And how about practicing it to the extent at which it helps you have confidence?
Oh, absolutely. Being more prepared, you know, knowing a song cold and being able to perform it forwards, backwards, day, night, so that, you know, when something happens on stage, because there's a lot of times something will happen, the level's not right, something happened over there, this person fell down, there's a baby crying over here, I stubbed my toe or something trying to catch my foot pedal running away. You just recover, you know, they don't affect you because you're just so into what you're doing and you've done it so many times that, you know, you're really kind of like a professional at that point.
Yeah. Well, that's my problem, which is why I forget my words a lot.
Well, you're not alone, right? You're not alone.
Well, Phil Oakes once said he would forget his words, and his sister said one time, he said, I write the song, do you expect me to remember the words too?
I did the hard part.
Exactly. Well, you know, it reminds me of in 1997, I had a chance to play at the Folk Festival, and they let me on.
That's great.
And, I would go every year, we'd camp, and then we'd go over to where the stages are and sit on the hill. And we'd always fantasize about being able to play, you know.
Sure.
So I had that chance. And before that morning, you know, we went on at 10. It was a songwriters workshop.
Right.
You know, I was a combination of being nervous as well as feelings because of always, we'd always sit on that hill.
What it meant to you.
What it meant to me.
It meant to you, yep.
But just like you said, as soon as I got on that stage, it went away.
Right.
And
I think that comes with experience.
Yeah.
I don't think it was that easy to push it away earlier on in our careers.
Yeah, no, I didn't think about it. It just
Right.
kind of happened, Okay, I'm going to have you do another song.
Oh, all right. I'm going to fish my pedal in the
I'll
bottom
get it.
here. If you see me going fishing in the middle of the song, I'm not hungry for fish. I'm just... This was originally written for Ben and Jen. Remember Benifer? Who turns out the song lasted longer than the couple. And they lived happily ever after their own way. They're each their own way with another significant other, which is great. But this was the inspiration for the song. This is Forever Love. Forever love is so hard to find. It always seems to slip right through our hands. Forever love, it's always on my mind. Waiting, wondering when it's gonna be. Time for me to see the light. Someone to hold each and every night. My forever love, forever love. It's all I see in you. Forever love, it always seems brand new. I'll take the time, hold you close and never let you go. Forever love, it's on the way. So many times when I look through your eyes, I see my future like never before. 1,000 lights are shining down. Floating petals touch the ground, and they surround you. Forever love, it's all I see in you. Forever love, it always seems brand new. I'll take the time, hold you close and never let you go. Forever love, it's on the way. Forever love is forever love. It's all I see in you. Forever love, it always seems brand new. I'll take the time, hold you close and never let you go. Forever love, it's on the way. I'll take the time, hold you close and never let you go. Forever love, it's on the way. Forever love, it's here to stay.
Another good song.
Thank you.
You have a CD, at least one, right?
Yes.
And what's it called?
Well, I did one called Love Makes the World.
Mm-hmm.
It was a full CD, and that was one I produced myself, and that was an adventure. And then I did one a few years after that called One More Night that I had a producer help me with and produce it, and much happier with the result of that one.
You got airplay with that.
Yes, the one song got played I think on about 80, 85 stations, commercial stations across the country.
Yeah, that's hard to get them on commercial stations.
Yeah, it's impossible. And it took a lot of effort and a lot of finances to do that. It's a whole game.
Yeah, did you have a plugger or whatever they call it?
Yeah, we had a plugger. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Great.
But it's
anybody cover your songs other than Lee Goldstein?
Yeah, he does one of mine sometimes. I do one of his.
Yeah.
I've had people ask me, like in particular for Forever Love, I've had people ask me to send them the chords and send them the tracks, and they want to perform it for a loved one at a wedding. And that way I've had it covered, but not by like a particular artist covering it.
Yeah, that's cool. How can people get your CDs? How can they? Where's your website?
The best place to find me nowadays is lovesongs.com. Because they can hear my music there. They can find out about the Keep Music Alive mission there, and pretty much everything about what I'm doing there.
And I did look at that, and if somebody's interested in submitting a story, there's a link there, right? Correct?
There's a link. If you click on the Keep Music Alive link, it takes you to a Keep Music Alive page and tells you all about what we're doing and gives you an email address that you can email directly, and then we'll respond within like a day.
Cool. I want to talk about our next show. Our in-studio guest is someone, I believe she lives in New Jersey, and her name is Carla Olbrich. Do you know Carla?
I do not. No.
She does a lot of funny songs. And I think she had one of her songs or more on, what was the name, Dr. Demento when he was living. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So she calls herself a professional smart aleck.
I like her already.
She travels around the U.S. and also she's been in Canada and England. And it says her humorous songs about everything from wedgies to Waffle House to Klingons.
Good combination there, right?
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. And our Skype guest is Tom Kimmel from Nashville. I don't know if you know Tom.
I know the name. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite songwriters. And I took a songwriting course from him. I know him somewhat. And he did a songwriting course down in a thing in North Carolina that I participated. It was like a week-long thing. And he has had some of his songs recorded by Linda Ronstadt, Johnny Cash, Joe Cocker, Art Garfunkel, and Randy Travis. He's also had a number of songs in feature films. Serendipity, Twins, that was remember that movie? Runaway Bride, and also in television shows, Captain Kangaroo, and also Touched by an Angel, also Dawson's Creek.
Wow.
So I'm looking forward to talking to him from Nashville.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Vincent, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome, Ray. Thank you. I really appreciate you having me on.
And we will hopefully see you soon. I know
Yes.
we will. Okay, and we'll be back in a couple weeks, and we'll see you then.